Go.
Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another live edition of Spilling Ink, the talk show that brings you behind the book to meet the authors and artists in the publishing industry. Tonight, we have some returning guests who are awesome, and I can't wait to get to them, but I do want to give you a little word from our sponsor first, and our sponsor is Book Branders. We have some returning guests who are awesome, and I've got an echo. What's going on? All right. So Book Branders is your self-publishing concierge. They provide package and a la carte solutions to get your book to market. From book design to editing and marketing, their team of professionals can help you successfully get your book up there for sale without breaking the bank. You can contact Book Branders today at bookbranders.com, and you'll even get a free 10-step guide to self-publishing, which is always good because if you don't learn everything you need to know on this show, you're going to need that 10-step guide. So, all right, Katie, take it over.
That's actually a great opening up point, learning how to do the self-publishing, because most people finish up with writing and they're like, okay, and now what? And then they don't realize there's this whole other world of crap you have to go through to make what you've just written something that can actually be on the market and saleable to general public.
Yeah,
so yeah.
And I don't like that world. I don't want to have anything to do with it. So yeah, take it, Book Branders. Take it, somebody. Take that away from me.
Absolutely. Well, and we were talking with, I think it was Heidi maybe last week, or was it the week before, about what OWS does. They have a teaching you how to do your own marketing wing of their publishing house. That's really awesome. And I've been doing a lot of talking with Heidi lately, and I might kind of sign on with them too and learn some of the ropes and maybe join in with them, because you really do have to know your marketing. It's huge.
And I just want to stop you for a second because Joe from Go Indie Now, one of our good friends, had a great point here. He says he loves your hat, and it is an adorable hat. So I've got to give you props for that. It's wonderful.
Well, and there's the shirt too. I don't know if you can see it here.
Very nice. Very nice. Now, let's be honest here. Did you wear that hat because you didn't do your hair today?
All right, but we should probably reintroduce our guests again. Now, if you've watched Spilling Ink before, you have met these guys before, and the show that they were on, I think, went wildly out into left field, and we kind of hope it does again. So, Justin, Jay, who wants to go first and reintroduce yourself?
I'll do it. Hey, I'm Justin M. Woodward, the author of The Variant, Candy, and Tamer Animals. And I'm here to ramble. Hope you enjoy.
Perfect.
I'll keep it more succinct than that. Jay Sigler wrote Train Thoughts. So yeah, we were on the show months and months ago. You brought us two together, and since then we've actually talked a lot and have become quite good friends, believe it or not.
Yep, believe it or not.
And because I am a wedding officiant, they're actually talking about getting me to come out for their nuptials, which is exciting, and I'm so happy for you two.
2020, it'll happen. Although if it happens in Wisconsin, I'm ordained there, so I'll just do it myself.
Oh, boom. Nice.
Bad boy.
Can you do that? Can you marry yourself?
No.
That's a good.
I can do what I want.
So what's been going on since we last talked to you guys?
So for me, after Train Thoughts, I've been attempting to write. I'm close to finishing up a novella that I want to get out sometime in the next months. So not all that exciting, but I just want to get it out there. I'm still in the process of getting it edited, getting the artwork done. But yeah, I want to get that out there. So that's what I've been doing.
Well, tell us about the novella. What is it?
It's super short. It barely even qualifies for a novella, I think. Whatever the lower limit is.
Novella, yeah.
Yeah, Justin's read it. It's really about a guy who he's going through a tough time. He had a horrible accident that occurred in the family, so he reaches out to a lifelong friend or a friend that he's known for a while for support, and things go off the rails from there.
Yeah, and it's really good. It's really good.
Now,
So
we were
you said,
talking before the show started about writing novellas, writing short fiction, and I have to give props to anybody who can really do that well, because condensing a story down into such a small word count and really having to choose the right words and to make it feel like a complete story is such a hard thing to do. I mean, people look at novel writers, and yeah, it's a hard thing to do. It takes a lot of time and dedication, but we have a lot more words to work with to make the story feel real. When you're talking about 5, 10, or even 20,000 words, that's not a lot. But to make it feel like a full story, I give props to anybody who can do it well.
yeah, man, it's not easy. You know, my youngest daughter, who is 10, decided today that she wanted to write a story. And so she's in 5th grade, and I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Here's some tips to get you started. And so she gets going, and 5 minutes later, she's like, man, writing is really, really hard. I was like, yeah, it's really, really hard. It's a labor of love, but it is still work.
Yeah, and so to add to that, my son, he's a little bit younger. He is into writing, so he'll sit on like my laptop and write stories. So I was checking his homework one day. He has this whole story that also has pictures. So I started reading it. It's like pages long, which is really good. And then I find this other little notebook in his binder, and I was like, "What's this?" He's like, "Oh, well, that's the first version where I wrote it, and I just recopied it because I had some more ideas and stuff." And I was like, "Wow, like that's really good." So yeah, I think it's great when you start young like that to start writing.
Hell yeah. Yeah, starting young and being able to do the illustrations and too, maybe future graphic novelist there.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's definitely into graphic novels and comic books and all that type of stuff.
Anything to feed that love, right?
Yep.
You got it. So, Justin, you were telling us off air that Tamer Animals has actually been experiencing a fair bit of success. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the thing about Tamer Animals is I didn't ever want, I think I told you, I think we talked about this last time. I didn't ever want to be a horror author, but I did have a really good idea, I thought, for a horror book. And so I wrote Tamer Animals, a couple years ago or whatever originally. And it was a tie-in to The Variant. That was the whole point. And it was based on the title was based on an album from the band Other Lives. And I always loved the concept where, we're all tamer animals. So I wrote that book, released it, and got a really good cover through Bloodshot Books. They hooked me up with Francois Valancourt, who does cover art for Stephen King regularly, and he does Richard Chizmar stuff. And so I got a really good cover and a cool title, and I think a good book. So it started spreading in groups, horror groups. You've got your people who always read the newest indie cup thing with a good looking cover, and then you've got people who see things in groups like Books of Horror, and it just kind of took off. I mean, I'm sitting at 51 Amazon reviews right now, which for an indie is not too bad. It just came out in June. And I got an email last night, and full disclosure, this is not it's not a nomination, but I'm in the first process of being nominated for a Bram Stoker Award for Horror Novel of the Year. So,
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
so that was cool. And even if I don't win that, I'm sure there's a lot, and I actually know one of the others that is in the category. It's one of my own friends. So, I'm not going to out him right now because he may not want to talk about it yet, but whoever wins, I'm sure they deserve it. But it was really cool to get that email. I was like, man, I did it. But at this point, I feel like my fan base is like just waiting for the next horror thing because they see me as the horror guy. So we'll see. I'm really thinking about it, but
Which is funny because you didn't go into it wanting to be a horror author, and here you've
Yeah.
got this horror book that's doing really well.
yeah. Which that you hear about that happening, like remember when Matthew McConaughey decided to stop doing chick flick movies and did something serious, and he was really good. You know, so maybe maybe I do continue to go down that path. I mean, it's enjoyable. It's just not my biggest interest, I guess. But I mean, with that being said, I have done several horror short stories and things like that too. So I get why people think that. So
Do you follow Matthew McConaughey's career? Because I was aware that.
Dude, I thought everybody knew, man. All of a sudden, when he started doing, well, he was in Dallas Buyers Club, and he was in a lot of serious things. There was one called Mud.
All I know is Failure to Launch is like the best movie ever made.
Yeah. Well, he did. Oh, and Killer Joe. He was a contract killer in Killer Joe, and he was dead serious. And I was like, hold on, you know, because I always saw him as like the guy from How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days kind of guy, you know. So when he expanded his career, it was cool.
Interesting.
I don't know.
You know what?
I'm not a huge fan either. I'm just making an observation that he got a lot better.
Well, you know, you say that. I'm not sure if I completely believe it, but that's okay.
You know a lot about it for not being.
Yeah, you do know an awful lot about it. I mean, you named like 10 more movies than I could have named.
Yeah, sorry. And then I wasn't looking for a Matthew McConaughey movie. I just went through a phase where I watched a lot of like dark, edgy stuff, and he was in so many of them, and I was like, what the hell? You know, it was weird.
You know, and I haven't seen any of the serious movies, and I've passed by them because I was like, oh, this is just going to be something goofy, and
Yeah.
you know, I like watching the goofy stuff with my wife, but you know, if it's me, I just like, you know, cool, cold-blooded killers and shit. But
Yeah, he's been in some dark, like noir, like film, like quality stuff, and it's like, oh my god, like that's why I'm saying that. I'm not a huge fan, but
It's
whatever.
okay.
I'll take the
Okay.
endorsement if he'll give it to
All
me.
right, all right.
Yeah. See, I just saw that movie a couple months ago. I'd never even see. I don't even care. Golly.
You were finishing your collection there, weren't you?
Let's not talk about that.
So you write short stories too, huh?
Yeah. My first short story was called "It Still Moves," and it's the only one that's published. Well, I guess. And then I have another one that was free on Wattpad, which is called "Smile Like You Mean It," like the Killer song. And it got attention from some bigger named authors who I guess I shouldn't mention, but may have a movie coming out called Bird Box. But anyway, it was I got some hype from that story. So, and then I've got a few others, but I guess should we talk about the anthology? Is that where we're going here?
Is there an anthology? I had no idea.
Oh, there's an anthology coming out. Steve Thompson contacted a bunch of authors that he liked, and said, I'm putting together an anthology. I'm funding it myself. And he wanted to start a book. He's starting a book label is what he's doing, or a publishing house, I guess. And I think it's called In Your Face Books, and it's awesome, and he's great to work with. But he got my attention when he said that Richard Chismar had already signed on to be in the book. So I was like, oh, and then James Newman, which is, James Newman wrote the foreword for Tamer Animals, and I'm a fan of his work. So I was like, okay, well, I'd love to be alongside those two guys, at least, and there's tons of other talent in there. So whenever I submitted, I was actually the first person to submit, and I got my acceptance letter the next day. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I just been kind of cool about it, because I feel like I kind of got lucky, but I'm excited for that for sure. I believe it's called When the Clock Strikes 13.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got technical stuff going on here.
Can you guys still hear me?
Oh, that got louder. But yeah, that's what you get when you build a fancy room just to use your microphone.
Yeah, sorry, Katie.
Why don't you explain to us what you're doing there, Jason, since you're clearly in a whole new setting and you look all professional now.
Well, okay, I will explain. And you know what? I want to tell you what I did here too, because Katie, you at least will laugh at me about this. So I've got a new mic. I bought myself a nice little studio condenser mic. And I bought that because I want to start doing some voiceover work and some audiobook narration. And so I'm geeked about that, but I needed a nicer mic than my Blue Snowball, which was awesome for the podcast for a long time. So to make this thing work, you have to have it hooked up through an audio interface. So I've got it hooked up through my little audio interface here, which also happens to have its own little microphone on it. So while I'm getting everything set up for the show today, and I'm checking the levels and everything, and I'm like, man, I just don't seem to be getting the right amount of volume from this. And I'm like, whatever, it's time to go. Well, it turns out I was actually using the mic that's on this little recorder over here for volume instead of the mic that is 3 inches in front of my face, which is actually kind of funny now that I think about it. But yeah, so it's a simple switch that I didn't push because it was like a big red light that told me, idiot, this is what you're supposed to do. And I didn't do it anyway. So anyhow, sorry about the weird volume issue going on. But yes, so I'm building myself a little sound studio here in the basement. That's why everything looks different. It's a little echoey today, and that's just because all the acoustic panels haven't been put up yet. But soon it will be all totally fancy and cool and hopefully have lots of exciting new stuff. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing.
And what's funny is a little background too, since we share the Spilling Ink channel and log in. Anytime we go to YouTube to see what the recommended videos are or anything on our homepage, I can always tell when Jason's planning another DIY project for his sound room, because all of the recommended videos are all about mics and condensers and building things. So I knew that this was coming up even before I'd even seen it, because I knew what he'd been watching.
Well, if you just buy the shit from the companies, it costs a ton of money. So I'm like, well, I don't have a ton of money. I've got to do this the smart way and take my time. And yeah, so I've taken
it looks really good.
It's getting there. The picture that's behind me, that's just a Laura Zombie print that I love. But I've got a very cool Literary Outlaws skull coming in from Kevin Summers, who does the indie author podcast there. And then also our Spilling Ink logo will be up here on the wall too, which will be cool. And then I'll have something in front of me that you won't be able to see, Katie. It'll probably be pictures of Jay and Justin after the ceremony. But yeah, so it'll be nice when that's all done.
We can just live stream the ceremony.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's a great idea, Katie. I love it. Man, I'm probably blowing you guys out. It's way loud now.
Hey, you sound really good.
Oh yeah, but I was blasting. I could see it over there. All right,
now,
that's probably.
Speaking of ceremonies, should we actually do a topic today, or should we just keep rambling on?
What topics? What? Oh, yeah, I have something to talk about. I kind of talked about it at the end of the show 2 weeks ago. Who did we have on 2 weeks ago?
I wasn't here 2 weeks ago. Remember?
I know, that was The Greatest Showman. Is that why you bowed out? You didn't feel comfortable being a part of it?
That's it. Yeah,
Katie,
I'm just not
Katie,
part of that.
You are a great showman. We love you, Katie. We do. No, so I kind of announced it at the end of the night, but another reason I'm building this recording studio is that I'm going to be starting a new podcast, and it's not related to Spilling Ink. It is not a writing or publishing advice podcast in any way. The podcast is just called Storytellers, and it is going to be a lot like kind of like a talk radio show. And the format's gonna be, I'm going to narrate a short story from whatever guest I'm having, or if they want to narrate it, they can do that as well. And then I'll have the author on to talk about creating that short story, creating fiction, and kind of what it means for their life. And and I love our show, and I love what we do, but I felt like, I really wanted to do something that was more focused just on story, because that's the whole reason I got into writing. That's the whole reason I read, is because I love story. I love something that can take me out of myself and bring me something else, somewhere else for a while. So that's what I want to do, and I want to be able to share that with everybody. And I'm going to produce a whole season, probably throughout the winter and spring, and then kind of unleash it on the world next year at some point. And I think I'm going to be propositioning some radio stations to see if any of them want to pick it up on their networks. I listen to a lot of podcasts while I'm working, and so I hear a lot of the sponsorships and the radio stations that do the host these podcasts. I'm like, oh, I'd love to be connected with these guys. They have content that I like. But yeah, so that's my thing. Yeah. Well, that was weird. I don't usually just talk about myself, Katie. Let's quick get off of that before I faint or something.
I think your show idea is great. I think it's going to be fun, and I can't wait to see what you come up with.
I think it's going to be fun too. I wish I knew authors that I could have on. That's the big problem.
Gee, where would you find authors?
I don't know anybody.
I don't either.
Except for you, JD. I see you out there.
See, that's one of the beauties of Spilling Ink, though, is we have been introduced to a whole new world of indie authors that we didn't even know before we started doing this show. And we've made a lot of friends in the process. And one of the reasons that we constantly do this show every week isn't necessarily out of need to do it. It's because we both enjoy meeting with authors, talking with authors, making friends with authors. So, Jason, you've got a ton of people to draw from.
Yeah, and that's been the coolest thing about this show. I mean, it really is. Sometimes we really talk about serious shit, and sometimes we actually teach people stuff. But, it's more the connections that we're making, I think, that are the coolest. Like, these two lovebirds, they come on our show, and then boom, they're like fast friends, and now they're getting to all sorts of mischief together. So yeah. So what kind of mischief have you been getting into, Jay? Is there any mischief you guys can share with us that you've done?
I think he means misfits. That's what he means.
No, I meant mischief. I know misfits. Oh, yeah. By the way, if any of you guys want to stalk these two handsome gentlemen, they will be at the Misfits concert.
Yep, the next one.
When is it? April?
Yeah, April 27th in Chicago.
Yep.
I think one of our mutual fans is going to be there based on Facebook, so that would be kind of cool. We could hang out.
Yeah.
What kind of mischief?
Not like he'd go to the Misfits show for the Misfits. He'd rather hang out with us. So.
Yeah. No, I meant after, dude. Before, after, etc.
Well, you guys are quiet tonight. You're chill, almost like you're sitting on something crazy or something. Is there anything you wanted to share, or just being quiet?
I was learning all about new podcasts and creating rooms. But yeah, so I guess just since last time we were on the show, Justin and I have been talking a lot. We talked after the show. Been talking for whatever. It's been a month or two since then. We actually are attempting to write something together. Not quite at a point ready to talk about what that is or what it's about, but it's been an interesting process. Not only writing for myself, not only writing with someone else, but also someone who is in a different state. So that's been interesting to me.
So tell me, without giving away any of your secrets, tell us what the writing process was like working with somebody from another state. How did you guys structure this?
So basically, Justin would write something. I would come in, shit all over it, say, this is why it's wrong. How are you ever an author? Can you even speak words?
Yeah.
This sounds like me and Katie.
Oh, man. I knew he was full of shit because he'd already given all 3 of my books a 5-star rating. That's just because he likes me.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with the content. Trust me.
Definitely not.
No, so yeah, we actually, right after the show last time, we stayed on and kept talking. We were like, well, if we do want to try this, how are we going to do it? And, Justin at the time had always written, I think it was in Word or Microsoft Word or something.
Yeah, I was using Word.
I'm a big fan of Google Docs myself, and Google Docs allows you to share. I think Microsoft Office lets you do that, but I didn't have it. So we kicked around a few ideas, ended up trying to use Google Docs where we can both just share, and if you're not familiar with it, you can comment, highlight things in real time. There's also a chat feature in there. So we tried it for like, the first couple of chapters, and it seemed to be working pretty well. So that's where we stayed with it. And it really allowed us to write whenever we wanted, right? So we didn't both always have to necessarily be there at the same time. I could write something, then overnight he can look at it, edit it, leave his comments, and then we can talk about it. Technology, man.
Yeah. And the only downside I would say at all was working with Jay. No, I'm kidding.
Right? You never thought that your writing can get up a couple levels, right? You thought you were there, man, but then I made you see.
No. What I was gonna say is the only bad thing was I feel like there was like way more errors because it was a hodgepodge. Like some chapters would be like him for like literally a paragraph, and then me for 2 pages, and then him and me, and back and forth. And so our writing styles, I think, flow together very well, and that's what beta readers told us. But it's like it caused a lot of like inconsistencies because we don't always leave commas in the same places and things like that. So, but it was still a great process for sure.
No. So who was the faster writer when you were doing this? Were one of you kicking out a larger volume than the other?
It varied. So what I've learned, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that Justin will just go out there and write, like kind of whatever in his head. Whereas I like to let it bake some more, not do anything for hours or days, and then all of a sudden I'll just have a night where it just all comes out.
Yeah.
I think content-wise it was probably 50-50, but it was just words on the page versus ideas in the head.
Do you guys feel like one of you is stronger, let's say, with dialogue, and the other one is stronger with descriptions, and you kind of lean on each other's strengths as you go?
Between those two things, I'm not sure, but I will say that Jay would be better at coming out with like an overall idea of a certain concept, and like, no, it should be like this, and this needs to be like this. And I'd be like, oh yeah, that makes way more sense. And he'll constantly correct me, like, how did you forget this, or how did you forget that? But I'm not gonna say I'm better, but I'll say my strength is like filling in like the little in between stuff, and just kind of like the little banter and stuff. But he's good at that too. I mean, he's not bad at that at all, but he's definitely better than me at like remembering things and just being cohesive with the story. When we announce what we've worked on, that will make sense. But
okay. I think I'm more descriptive. Like I like to set up the surroundings, a lot more detail. I think you're a little bit more minimalist and just kind of it's implied type of stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of times like it's because he's better. It's not because I'm trying to be lazy, but it's like I know he'll come behind me and sprinkle in stuff here and there. So lazy.
Was I not muted?
Yeah. That's just not how I am. I like reading stuff like that, but I've never been a writer that goes into a lot of detail. And it's not that Jay goes into a ton of detail. He just goes into more than I do. So, yeah.
And I get into it all depends on my headspace, and it depends on my mood, where sometimes it's like I'm just tearing through dialogue and very little description in there, but other times it's like, man, I just spent a whole page writing about how this person went from room to room, and like, God, I am so nuts in my head, I can't keep it all smooth.
Yeah, for sure. I feel you 100% on that.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that with the dialogue. I go through, and pretty much my first draft is almost all dialogue. And then I have to go back through on the second draft and figure out, okay, where were they and what's the scene look like when they're saying this? And then layer in all of that crap after the fact.
Yeah, and so we kind of naturally did that. Like I would come in and just fill in those details, or he would come in and fill in details on something that I've written. So it worked out well, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
So, Katie, you mean that you actually do something beyond the first draft? Are we supposed to do that?
Wow.
What is that's a thing?
Yes, absolutely.
Uh,
I don't know. By the
Oh.
time you've seen it, Jason beta reads for me every so often, and I ignore everything he tells me.
yes, she
By the
does.
time you see it, Jason, it's probably third draft, and I'm still calling it bare bones at that point because I know there's more to add to it.
Oh
But
my
I'm
lord.
not ready to show anybody anything until I've at least gotten the meat on the bones.
Well, here's my question. You know, for any of you guys, how do you read through your own book that many times? Because we all have to do revisions, and I hate revisions. But the initial writing of it, that's one huge read through. But then every time you're editing, you're reading that whole book again. How do you get through it? How do you force yourself to slog through that story over and over and over again?
You write a really good story.
Yeah, I actually liked. So the way we wrote it, I actually really liked the first kind of pass through the editing, because there was just so much in there that I had forgotten, and I was like, oh yeah, like this happened or that happened. I just forgot all these like little details. So it was like a really good refresher, and it actually in some cases
The first time you're
it
reading
made us
that
like
sentence.
revise the later chapters based on details we'd put in. So I guess just make it interesting.
Write gooder words.
Right?
Okay.
Gooder words.
No, to be honest, dude, it's like, yeah, the first read through is exciting, because you want to see, especially when you're co-authoring, because there were parts that I admit that I was like, I don't even know if I saw this the first time, because we were just chugging along, but yeah, it gets daunting, and I think having a trusted set of beta readers really helps with that a lot,
Now, how did you develop your set of beta readers? Do you have readers that always read for you, or are you putting out casting calls for them, so to speak, or how are you getting them?
So to me, the beta reading process is really, so the first time through is just really close friends or family. So it's a small knit group, and that's where we got like a lot of our feedback from. And then I think, we would do another wave of beta reading that is open to more people that we don't necessarily have that personal connection with, that just want to read a book and give us honest feedback. So there's a couple phases to go through.
Yeah, and you got to have a good mix of like, and I'm not talking shit about any of these people. These are great people for working with us, but there's clear like diehard, like leaving a comma every other sentence for us or more beta readers, and then there's ones that say, yeah, I liked it, and I think we had a good mix. There's also people who will say what they really think and people who won't. And I think we did a great job of picking people who all say what they think, which is what we wanted. And it honestly caused us to change some things, which I've never done before for a book. Okay. I mean, for Tamer Animals, Pete said, we can get, here's what I think about this and this and this. And it was grammatical, it wasn't content. And we were getting drilled for ideas and having to rethink whether we wanted to keep that idea. And so it was a cool process. But it's important that you get people besides like your mom,
Yeah, for sure. And I have a really inconsistent group of people that I use, and not inconsistent that the individuals are inconsistent, but just that they kind of come and go. And I've only got a couple that stick around for a long time, and a few of them are ones that I know are always going to tell me they love the story.
Yeah.
And always just going to say wonderful things to me. Hey, and I love that, because I love hearing nice things. And then I've picked out a couple really fierce people that that don't care at all about my feelings, that will actually tell me, look, this whole concept really blows and you need to do this or that. And
that's the type of people that I want beta reading for, because I don't want the fluffy, oh, I love this because I know you and we're friends, and then we get it out there and you're getting 1-star reviews everywhere, and someone's just like, you're like, what the hell happened? I thought you loved it.
Yeah, well, I feel like you
feedback.
Yeah, well, I think that you need a little bit of both. You need a handful of really hard hitting people that are going to help you straighten your shit out, and then those couple of nice fluffy ones at the end that are like, okay, I got through it. Now I'm going to read these because I know they're going to be nice.
Jason, you and I
Yeah.
think, share a beta reader. I think I met her through you, and I won't say her name.
Yeah, she's awesome.
She's awesome, and she's not afraid to tell you when you've screwed up on something, especially when it comes to like medical details. She's
Yes.
excellent about nailing those and
Oh,
giving
yeah.
you the reasons why. And then I'll go back to her and I'll say, okay, explain to me then what I can do. And she will list out a whole bunch of stuff that I can use.
Oh yeah, yeah. She was actually instrumental in helping me to develop a book that I've got on the back burner right now because it's just really effed up. And it's about a mortician who's also a serial killer, which is not a new concept by any stretch of the imagination. But she was really helping me with a lot of the gross details on that. But yeah, but she's one that also, when she emails you back, she will tell you what she thought, but then at the end, she'll give you something positive at the end. And I like that. I think that's a nice way to communicate with people, where you're not just shoving shit down their throat the whole email. You're actually making it a little bit of a conversation, letting them know that you didn't totally suck, but these things need to get worked on.
Yeah.
Well,
At
so
least that works for me.
I'll tell you what worked really well. Well, I thought what worked really well for us. It wasn't like we sent something out to the beta readers and we said, hey, give us your thoughts afterwards in an email or something. We allowed them access to this Google Doc. So they were actually highlighting real time and leaving comments there. And that to me was just so much more beneficial, because it wasn't this afterthought of what was my generic sense of the whole thing. It was, what the hell is this specific word or this specific as they're going through. And we would just go through those comments. And again, Google Docs allows you to reply to the comments. You can talk back to them about that specific issue.
I think that's actually a genius idea, because you can make it so that they can't edit the actual document. They can just comment.
Edits. The way we set it up, they could suggest edits. So we can either just go in there and click approve or deny, or we could comment back to them. We could rewrite a section and say, hey, does this read better? Pulling them back into that specific section, because they're not going to remember unless they get to reread it. So it's really, like I said, the technology behind it was very, I don't know, made the whole work that much better.
You know, you guys are constantly surprising me. I mean, you guys are smart.
Yeah, I know. Right? Like how we look and talk.
Dude, I'm drinking tonight.
Dude, I think you were drinking last time we saw you too.
Yeah, I do that.
Clocks right twice a day. So
well, here's the thing. I work a stressful as crap job. I work 45 to 50 hours a week doing IT and repairs on signs and stuff. And this is my one night a week. My kids are not right up my ass at this very moment, which I love them to death, and they'll be right up there as soon as this video is over. But when I do live stream videos, maybe because of my personality type or whatever, I can be really reclusive. So I used to do a lot of in my Justin M. Woodward Facebook page. I did like Candy release party when Candy came out, and I was like just doing stupid shit, like taking like putting like face filters and going like woo, and people were loving it and commenting and having a good time. And I'm sure there was a couple that were like, what the hell? But I was just being me.
What face filter are you using for that beard right now?
This is called the 29 going on 30. But yeah, so there was a point to all that. When you said you guys are smart, but yeah, like I guess what I'm saying is I look like an idiot because I'm drinking, but I'm just being relaxed. And yeah, we thought this thing through really hard. I mean, we talk about it every day. It's not just some random shit that we just threw together. This is the most ambitious thing that I've ever done ever, and working with Jay has been amazing. So yeah, to be real with you guys, yeah.
No, I hear you, man. And I know we can't talk real details, but it sounds like you guys are a really good, well-matched pair of authors, and I'm super excited to see what comes out of this. And I wanted to mention Rebecca Jonesy. one of our friends and a guest a couple times on the show had mentioned something about beta readers. She said, "I really wish authors would remember that you need to tell your beta readers what you want from them." And I think that that's very good advice. And Katie, I think you might have said something similar to that to me at one point.
Yeah, my style when it comes to using beta readers has changed over the years. And instead of dumping an entire manuscript on my beta readers, I've broken it up into smaller, like say 10,000 word chunks. And I'll ask my beta readers specific questions that I need to know about that section so that they have less to read, but are able to focus more clearly and tell me whether or not I'm hitting those points that I'm asking them about.
And before we get too off topic here, if you two were working on some kind of project together, do you think that the lead role would be played by Matthew McConaughey?
I never thought about it, but now
oh my God,
love that Justin has for it. It actually kind of makes sense.
Especially, there's a reason why I laugh so hard because you know what? I'll
you've been drinking,
dude. I'll go to bat for the guy. He has changed. He is no longer doing stuff with Kate Hudson. Okay. So,
dude, I loved him and Kate Hudson. They're both gorgeous and funny, and it just makes my heart melt.
Yeah, I liked it too when I was 14, and I just the man grew up. Watch Killer Joe. That's if I had to mention one, I would say Killer Joe. It's
okay. I'm gonna check out Killer Joe then because I haven't seen him serious, and I'd like to wait. I have. What he did? What was that? It was a John Grisham book. Old South with Sam Jackson and Sandra Bullock. Not To Kill a Mockingbird. A Time to Kill, and that was
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I remember that was a great book, and then the movie was fine. That was good. Yeah. All right. What were we talking about, Katie?
I don't know. I've been in the live chat. I'm following it. It's just going today. We normally don't have this active of a live chat. You guys have really brought the people with you. Holy hell.
I was looking at the chat for a second as well.
And it's just as crazy in the live chat as it is on the screen.
Well, here's what I'll tell you guys too. Like, we had somebody predicted this. His name is Steve Strett. He's an author. He's probably going to crap his pants when he sees this, but when Jay released Train Thought, so I don't want to say this because like it sounds like I'm tooting my own horn, but
say it anyway.
Jay was a fan of mine, I guess. I mean that he had been active in my group and talking to me, and he was cool, and I always knew him. There was him and a few others. I was like, those are cool dudes, they like my stuff. And I feel like they're being honest in their reviews. They leave real reviews, not just it was good, And so I was like, he released Train Thoughts, and I didn't know about it until months after, and I read it and I loved it. And so I was looking on Amazon, and it was for like a couple months there. It was like people also bought, and it was his book. And then if you were on his book, then my books were there. So we've got some crossover already. So we thought like, hell, I mean, why not? So
Jay was working with Justin for you, kind of like me working with Stephen King. Was it like working with your all-time idol?
No, it's like if I accidentally took a shit in the garbage can, left it there for a week, and then remembered I had swallowed a penny that I really needed.
It's like I'm trying to think of the movie. I think it's a movie where somebody meets their idol.
Movie.
No, somebody meets like their idol, and then they realize that he's just a loser, and he's just like, oh my god, and he has like drag him around everywhere, and that's basically what Jay was doing. He was like, no, you're right.
I know that movie. It was The Tooth Fairy with The Rock. So you're like Dwayne Johnson, and Jay's like that little kid that wanted to be a hockey player.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe that's it.
That's probably not what happened.
No, I just meant that like I felt like I said before, he was more of a structure, because
he's more high concept.
Well, yeah, he's like, hey, remember, we can't do this because we're going to do this with this guy. And, and I'm like, okay, yeah. But then I just like would just sit down and just mellow out and just start typing just random stuff, within that's part of the story. But so, yeah, I remember thinking like, man, he likes my books. He probably thinks I'm an idiot. So,
I mean,
Wait,
all for
isn't
true
that-
sake.
yeah.
Isn't
I'm
that the
okay with
saying?
that.
You never meet your heroes. I think we've had to say that on this show a couple times.
Yeah, I know all about it. Yeah.
Well, I'm actually and I haven't started writing with her yet, but I've signed on to do 2 anthology spots next year. And one of the women that was part of this anthology kind of approached me and said, "Hey, I want to write with you. I want to work on a collaboration here with these stories." And I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever. That sounds cool." And she's a really sweet lady. She sounds awesome, but I'm at the point right now where I'm starting to get a little bit nervous about it because it's like, well, I've never worked with this person before, and she's a little high strung compared to me, just kind of like trying to chill through things a little bit. So I'm like, I have no idea how this is going to work. So that'll be an interesting update next year when the writing actually gets done to see if I'm pulling what little hair I have out or not. But yeah,
Jason,
so
weren't we
it
supposed
sounds
to
fun.
co-write something together?
we were here's the thing, Katie. We were supposed to co-write something together in one of your universes, and it was my favorite series that you had written, the Chronicles of the Uprising. And I realized very early on, and you hadn't even said anything, I realized that I shouldn't be co-writing anything with you that was in one of your universes already, because you have complete ownership of that. You know the way you want it to work. You know all the rules you want followed. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do this because Katie's going to want to kick my ass, and it's just not going to work. But I would be totally down for writing something completely unrelated to anything either of us have written before. Maybe like a hardcore XXX erotica or something.
Yeah, that's what's selling anyway. I mean,
Yeah. Billionaire. It's a billionaire meets a wolf shifter.
I call it
and
20
they
fucks to 50K.
yes, 20 bucks to 50K. Oh my god, dude. I'm taking that, baby.
I just made that up. I swear to God, if somebody steals that, let me get to the website creator first.
you swear to God, I'm on website creator right now.
Oh man.
We'll have to see if we can collaborate on something later. I get what you're saying though, because the world has already been established, and you're playing on my playground at that point.
Yeah, and I like your playground. I just don't think there's room for 2. Because you're like the schoolyard bully, and I don't want to be in there and get my ass kicked.
There's the truth. See, you're afraid of me.
Actually,
I am.
can I interject there for a second? Real quick. I just want to say the only thing or the most comforting thing for me about this process, working with somebody that's such a huge fan of mine, just such a ginormous fan, is that whenever we first started writing, he was giving me shit about stuff from the get-go, and I was like, yes. He would, because I was like, oh man, I swear to God, if he's one of these guys that's like real timid, well,
just defers to you.
Yeah, no, he was like, hey, this sucks and this doesn't look right. And I was like, okay, I'm going to enjoy this. I mean, because I need that. I don't need somebody who's going to just, but I'm not putting myself on a pedestal. I think Train Thoughts is just as good as any of my books.
I mean, let's be honest. There were a couple times when you were like, dude, do you even fucking know who I am? I'm Justin M. Woodward, dude. I shit.
Yeah. Swinging his weight around a little bit.
I cracked through the facade. I got real with him, and he started to appreciate my feedback. So, it was fine.
No, I'm just saying, he was a real guy, and he was not afraid to say what he thought about what sucked. And I thought I could do this. Now, if we had been writing and everything that I did that sucked, and he never said a word about it, yeah, I would have been like, okay, I'm gonna have to do everything. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to go back through and make sure this doesn't suck. But we were doing it in real time, so it was fun.
Yeah. Katie, do you see how strange boys are? Do you see how very strange they are?
It doesn't Girls know this from the get-go. We just smile and nod a lot for your sake.
You see, I work at a veterinary hospital, and I work with all but one of my coworkers are women. You know, I have one male doctor, and if anybody gives somebody else shit, somebody's crying or somebody is complaining or somebody's storming out the door. But with guys, it's like, no, fuck you. Yeah, I hate you. Yeah, we love each other.
That's actually how you know somebody's a good friend, is if they'll just be an asshole to you all the time.
That is the sign of a good friendship, is that you can rib each other and know that it means nothing.
Yeah.
See, that's how you know I'm a true friend, Katie.
No, I just think you are absolutely trying to give me a complex. You're every day with the old jokes and the gray hair. Damn, dude.
Well, I'm just saying, with the reduced video resolution on your end, I'm thinking maybe you should just keep rolling with this lower resolution. That's all. It's flattering to your skin.
Oh man,
Wow.
Apply the blur filter and it's all good.
I'm not even that mean to Justin.
Yeah. I'm feeling the burn from over here, man. I'm wearing a hoodie.
Oh,
But see,
Lord.
now you know why he's afraid of me. He's lucky he's so far away. I can't
Mhm.
actually reach through the computer and get to him.
That's true.
So I do have a question
Oh,
for you more experienced authors who I idolize immensely, apparently. You,
oh, me?
no, not you.
No, not you.
okay.
The other two.
You can just mute yourself.
Yeah, just
All right. Hold on.
take a drink, buddy. Have either of you self-published as a co-author? Because I know, at least where I've looked at in Amazon and KDP, it's difficult to do that as co-author. So.
Sorry.
Katie, take the reins on this one, because I was not in control of the self-publishing as a co-author.
Yeah, I've done it once before and I am doing it again, although I'm taking a different role this time. The first time I did it, I started up Rising Sign Books, not only as a publishing label, but as an actual publishing company. So I can publish through there, which meant I was handling all the paperwork. So when I did a co-authorship with another author, I was handling all of the cutting the checks between them, the royalties, sending out the contracts and whatnot. And honestly, it's a giant pain in the ass to be the one who has to do the paperwork. So at the end of it, we both mutually agreed to split our stories and go our separate ways. So he has control of half the stories. I have control of half the stories. With this new one that I'm supposed to be doing next year, which I'm kind of nervous about, I'm going to be working with another author who I actually respect and love. And I hope I can keep up with her, but she's going to be the one who's managing it through her publishing company. And we've actually been going back and forth trying to figure out how this is going to work, because she doesn't have her software set up to do royalty splits. So that's been holding us up, figuring out how that's going to work, because she's already bought the cover art. She's going to be covering the editing on it, and then royalty split from that after the fact. So.
I think Amazon just needs to pull their head out of their ass and realize that they have a huge glaring hole in their publishing process.
Oh, and their review process. I'll just throw that in.
Oh, don't get
Yeah.
started on the review.
Shots fired.
That's a separate show.
No. We didn't mention those, because they'll hear and then they'll take our fucking reviews away.
We all just lost 10 to 15
Aw.
reviews.
I'm not gonna
Amazon,
be
we love
any
you.
bullshit algorithm
Yes.
ever again.
All hail Amazon. All
You know what
hail.
though? Never mind.
You're
just
totally
saying-
right about it.
What Jay and I are working on is kind of like it kind of was developed around the idea of saying screw the system. So in a sense, so you'll see.
I like it. I mean, you're teasing the hell out of us. So when this comes, it better come hard, because I'm
Yeah.
excited about it.
Oh, it's gonna come
Man,
all
that's
over
what
your
she
face.
And
Yeah,
you'll be back on Spilling Ink telling us all about it, right?
please. Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
If you'll
I'd
have
love
it.
to get messed up and talk about that all night. I'm just kidding. No, I think that would be good. I think that I would love to be back and be able to kind of gush about the whole process and not be so secretive. That'd be cool.
Oh
So-
boy, I would love to see you in a gushing kind of mood. That'd be amazing.
You'll
I
never
don't
see
think
it.
I can picture that.
I don't know if you would. I mean, he talks so much already. Like, to hear him gush.
I'm just trying to help out. That's all.
Oh, come on.
Oh, well, Katie, we're kind of running along on time here. Is there anything else you wanna chat about before we wrap up?
No, usually we take the last few minutes of the show to talk about new releases. So can
Yeah.
we talk about a new release?
No, we have guest, Katie.
Damn it.
Jeez.
Damn
All
it!
right, Katie, tell us about your new release.
Well,
Let's
you
hear
know,
it.
because I've only been talking about it for like a month straight, but
There's a hot girl on the cover. I know that.
my newest book is coming out on January 1st. I actually just got and I should have them in hand, but I don't. I just got the proof copies in yesterday and they look fabulous. So the third book, the completion of the first Agents of Asset trilogy, Magic in Disguise, is going to be ready on January 1st. 2 weeks, 2-ish weeks.
Yay! That's so exciting. And
I know.
you've rocked these all. You published these all within a year, haven't
Yep.
you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
all
that's-
3 books within roughly a year's time. So yeah, it was hard, and they're all around 80,000 words each. So it was a push this year.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's a lot. That's cool. All right, well, we've already heard about your books on the last episode, but guys, can you go ahead and pitch us your most recent release?
Yeah, go ahead, Justin. I got your books ready right here since I'm such a super fan.
Tamer Animals is my most recent release, which I kind of created a bit of a conundrum for myself because I released Candy 1 month before that. But Tamer Animals was written before Candy and was sold to Bloodshot Books, and there's a big gap before it came out. So I had 2 releases a month apart is my point. And everybody like a month later after that was like, what's going on? You know? And I was like, oh man, yeah. So I've got a lot of things started and some things, you know, well into the works on maybe even a potential sequel to one of those books. So that's what I've been doing. But yeah, Tamer Animals, straight up horror Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets Stand By Me is what everybody seems to think. And yeah, it's available on Amazon, paperback, ebook, and Audible as well. I have an audiobook with the same narrator as the variant, Ryan Dreen. He's an amazing talent, vocal talent. And yeah, that's what's been going on with me. And I know Jay's got something cool coming up.
Yeah, Jay. Now, Jay,
He's totally Vanna Whiting your books the entire time you're
I
talking
know.
about
It's
that.
awesome.
he's so good. He's so good.
Already. Yeah.
And-
So, Train Thoughts. That's my only current published novel. As I mentioned, Novella's coming out. There's a loose tie-in to Train Thoughts. So,
What's the title of the novella?
it is Unsettled.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And it's ridiculous, dude. I that was kind of like when we were talking about writing together, not to take over, but I just wanted to say it's very good. I read it and because I like Train Thoughts and I was like, send it over. And then I was like, that was better than Train Thoughts, dude.
Wow.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Can it be read on its own or is it in
It can be read on its own.
Yeah.
You don't have to do the two. It's not a series or anything. But if you've read Train Thoughts, it'll enrich it similar as to how if you read the variant, it will enrich your experience with Tamer Animals.
Okay.
Right.
Excellent. Well, and you know, Jay, I agree with you. I think that beard is actually a filter.
Is it?
Not real.
So I was just looking on the back of the variant. I don't know if you guys can see this
Whoa.
right there.
That
So-
was when I used to manage a portrait studio before they shut down.
Well, it's sure.
I got free
looks like it.
photos. That picture was taken as a joke, like we were testing out the lighting in the camera room, and then I needed a picture for my first book, and I was like, "Hey, I've already got." Now I take one standing in my bathroom wearing a Braves T-shirt, and I'm just like with my cell phone like this, and that's what you find in the back of Tamer Animals because I just don't care. I am who I am, man. I'm not gonna be fake for anybody. Sorry.
I don't have a version of you on the back cover of Tamer.
No, look in the back of the book, like the last couple pages.
Oh God, that's funny. Here we go.
See, told you.
Oh, wow.
Look at me.
That's pretty sexy.
You're such an idiot. No, I don't keep pictures of myself, and I had a couple that I had taken, and I sent that one to Pete and was like, pick, and he picked that one out over the professional one. So I was like, whatever, sure.
You know, sometimes those shots are the best. I've got one in my acid green wig with a tiara on, and I'm like, you know what? That's my favorite picture.
Why not? Yeah, why not, man? It's yeah. That's how I feel. If somebody friends me on Facebook and they're another author and their profile picture looks like the most ridiculous photo shoot like ever, I'm like, oh God, this guy. Like right off the bat, this look at never reading.
Was that Jay?
No. I mean, we both. He has some nice professional photos, and I've got some too that I took, but I don't like post it all over my personal Facebook. Like author, blah 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 is my name on Facebook. No, I don't do that.
Oh, you guys are so badass. You're just too cool.
Those are words.
Thanks, man. Yeah, he said, "Come down here and fight me."
Or come up to Chicago in April and fight him then.
Yeah,
Ooh,
I'm gonna
that's-
be really hyped up. I would probably fight the Incredible Hulk because I'm gonna be seeing the Misfits with Glenn Danzig. So yeah, I'll fight
Yeah,
anybody.
you can't mess with somebody at a Misfits concert. You're gonna
Leave
get
me
killed.
alone and let me enjoy my being 16 again. Come on.
Yeah, it was
Oh.
like 3 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, all right, gentlemen, we are at the end of our time for tonight, and it was another fun show with you guys. I'm not sure if we got much accomplished, but I had a good time, which is
Yeah.
really the whole reason I'm here anyway. So,
Very, very enjoyable, man. Enjoyed
all
it.
right, to anyone out there watching or listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure you hit like or subscribe. That way, next time we have an episode, it pops up on there. Check out these guys. They've got some great books that I'm going to be checking out as soon as they send them to me at the show's email address. But for now, this is Jason Lavelle and Katie Saulitis. Good night.
Bye, guys.
Later.
Bye.
Thank you.